to BioVivacious. BioVivacious is a YouTube channel dedicated to clear fundamental concepts of biosciences and make the subject interesting and exciting. What we are going to deal today is with a cell organelle, and that is mitochondrion. We would have heard a lot about mitochondrion from our childhood days when we began dealing with a cell. This is one such a cell organelle which gives a tremendous clue about evolution. It links the prokaryotic life with the eukaryotic life. It links the anaerobic respiration with the aerobic respiration. Let us look at mitochondrion purely from the perspective of electron transport chain. There is a lot of information available about mitochondrion, but we will focus exclusively its relation to electron transport and ATP production. So let us go ahead with the mitochondrion. If you look at the structure of mitochondrion, it is an oval shaped structure. It can also be rod shaped. Okay, and it can be arranged in sequences. So therefore it will take different shapes. Look at the size of the mitochondrion. The oval shape, it will look like this. So the diameter is going to be somewhere around 0.5 micrometer, and the length can be about 1 to 2 micrometer. So this is the size of the mitochondrion. And remember, it can keep varying depending on the respiratory state of a cell. If the size can vary, the number can vary. So now when you look closely at this structure is a highly complex structure. So it is like a fortress which is well protected by different layers of walls, the security walls. So there is this mitochondrion will have two such security walls. Let us draw that. So therefore this is what we call the outer layer. The outer layer is made up of, it's a plasma membrane. But the structure of the outer membrane, this has a very high content of sterol. Very high content of sterol. It has less amount of proteins present on its surface. And this is representative of a eukaryotic aerobic system. And let us go ahead with the journey. As we move inside, you will find an inner wall, a second layer, and this is what we call an inner membrane space. So in the outer membrane, this outer membrane, it is not allowing all molecules to come in. It will allow molecules up to about 10,000 kilodalton. So it will allow up to 10,000 kilodalton to come inside. That also with the help of a protein known as porin. Porin is a small protein with about 31 kilodalton molecular weight protein. So these porin molecules will allow particles to come inside. Okay, that is a mechanism by which molecules can come cross in the first barrier in the outer membrane. Now, once it crosses the outer membrane, it will come to the inner membrane space and it will get settled there. Molecules can get accumulated. Now, look at the structure of the inner membrane. Now, the inner membrane is, it looks exactly like a prokaryotic system. The inner membrane very much like a prokaryotic system. About 70% is protein. 70% is protein and 30% is lipid in this inner mitochondrial membrane. out of the 75% protein, 70% protein, about 15% is nothing but F1, F0 complex. So which means if the machinery is needed for electron transport and for ATP production, 15% is that. So this is the basic composition of the inner mitochondrial membrane. So this inner mitochondrial membrane is absolutely impermeable to any charged species. It will not allow not even H plus ions to pass through without consenting it. So no charged species, pyruvate, all these molecules are not allowed to pass through the inner mitochondrial membrane. This is the interesting aspect of mitochondria. Let us look at the inner portion of the mitochondria, which is known as the matrix. Now, if the matrix has, what happens in the matrix is this inner membrane invaginates. Okay, it invaginates, and if the purpose of the invagination is to increase the surface area. So these invaginations are what is called cristae. So the purpose is to increase the surface area, and in this, towards the inner side, you will find the F0, F1 ATPase molecules towards the inner side. So therefore, this stick and ball kind of structure that is comprising about 15% of the total protein which is present in the inner mitochondrial matrix. So you can imagine if the function for which this particular organelle is very well designed. Okay, now when you look at the matrix side, it has all the machinery required for synthesizing protein molecules. What is interesting about cristae is it can change during the process of development and also depending on the metabolic state of a cell. It can change its structure, its shape. Now, let us look at the genome of mitochondrion. So the genome of mitochondrion, it is a circular DNA. Only in one organism it is found it is a linear DNA. Otherwise in mammalian system it is a circular DNA. It has about 37 proteins. And you know that 37 proteins are not enough to code for all the to carry out the function of electron transport and oxidative phosphorylation. So therefore a lot of proteins will be imported from the cytoplasm into the mitochondrial matrix. Now mitochondria can synthesize a protein. So therefore if the machinery needed for synthesizing has to be there in the mitochondrial matrix. So the ribosomes, the tRNA molecules and some other proteins. What is interesting is the tRNA and the ribosomes represents the prokaryotic system. So that is the most important aspect about our mammalian mitochondria. Now, when we talk about this particular system, let us also look at its expression. Now remember, it is a self-replicating molecule. Only from a pre-existing mitochondrion, another mitochondria can be made. It divides and it forms another copy. So you look at, let's say, certain liver cells in certain stages, you may find up to 5,000 mitochondria. And you look at yeast cell, there are certain variety of yeast cell will have only just one mitochondrion, which is known as the giant mitochondrion. Okay, the giant mitochondrion. Normally, if the studies related to oxidative phosphorylation, etc., are studied based on the giant mitochondrion. So this is some of the most fascinating aspects about mitochondrion that we need to know. We know that it is the powerhouse of the cell, which means that is the place where ATP is synthesized. Now, mitochondrion, it not only synthesizes ATP, It has many other functions. It may be a storehouse of calcium ions and regulating the calcium metabolism or controlling the calcium level in a cell. So that is another function of mitochondria. So since it is producing ATP molecules, what happens is, for us to know, ATP has 4 minus charges. So therefore, this inner portion, because it is negative, so the inner portion is negatively charged in comparison to an outer positive charge. Remember, this is a relative charge. So the inner portion is relatively negative in comparison to an outside positive charge. This is something that we need to remember. Now let us look at how we carry out studies for electron transport system. How the study is carried out. What they normally do is, let us assume this is our experimental setup. In the experimental setup, there is a buffer. Okay, this is buffer. And in this buffer, let us take, okay, this is the mitochondrion. It is taken, many cell homogeneity will be there. And this will have no oxygen, or oxygen deficient environment is created in this. No oxygen. And this will have, okay, this will have a substrate molecule. This will have valinomycin. Valinomycin is an uncoupler of electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation. So substrate is added, valinomycin is added, and KCl is added. So these are the three things added to this. Now, what is the other experimental setup? So therefore, there will be a pH electrode attached to this one. So this is a pH electrode. Okay, a pH electrode is attached in order to monitor the change in pH, and it will also have, okay, now we measure the pH, okay, because remember, no oxygen is in the solution. Now what is done is, oxygen is injected, okay, oxygen is injected, this is O2 is injected through buffer, a fixed quantity of oxygen. In a buffered solution, fixed quantity of oxygen is injected into the solution. When it injects a fixed quantity, extrusion of protons will occur because oxygen is now available, substrate is available, KCl environment is available. So extrusion of protons will happen, and this pH will drop sharply. Okay, it will decline sharply, this particular pH, as long as oxygen is available. When all the oxygen is used up, what will happen? So when all the oxygen is used up, if the protons are pumped back into the matrix. The protons are pumped back into the matrix by using a chemical known as FCCP. It's another uncoupler, a chemical uncoupler which is used in experimental studies. So FCCP is used in order to pump back. We know exactly what an amount of oxygen has been pumped into the system. Based on this, calculations are carried out in order to find out the amount of oxygen utilized and the decline in pH. So this will give us understanding about oxidative phosphorylation. So let us represent this in the form of a graph. Okay, this is the decay curve. So what we do is we take on the x-axis time, and on the y-axis we take change in hydrogen ion concentration in milli-equivalent. So therefore, let us see at the 0th time, if the H plus ion concentration is also, there is no change happening, it is denoted as 0. Now what we do is, we inject, O2 is injected. So O2 injected, suddenly it shoots up. Okay, straight line. When O2 is injected, this is the location where it is injected. At 0th minute, it suddenly shoots up. So reactions happens with because extrusion of protons occurs, and the reactions happens with the substrate molecule. Then slowly there is a decline in pH. So if the pH declines over a period of time. So this is the curve that led to elucidating in the electron transport system, in the mechanism. Now what they will do is FCCP is introduced. So FCCP, will show that FCCP is introduced here. Now once FCCP is introduced, now it will help. Once the oxygens are used up, it will help the protons to be taken back into the mitochondrial matrix. Taken back into the mitochondrial matrix. That can be denoted in this way. So this is the decline curve by using FCCP. Okay, so these are the painful kind of experiments which has been carried out in order to understand oxidative phosphorylation and electron transport chain. I'm sure you have enjoyed this session on mitochondrion. Basically, it's a structure and how it is adapted to carry out a particular function to suit our requirement of understanding oxidative phosphorylation and electron transport. Keep subscribing to this channel and let us have a good time.